Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. As you enter the room, tap the screen, write the live, and make sure we're good on Instagram. Looks like we're good. Hope everyone's having a great start to your Tuesday, great start to your week. We are live on Rumble Studio. Good morning, live on YouTube. Good morning, live on, let me check that we are live on X. It says so, and yes, we are live on X. Good morning on X. Live on Facebook. That's Facebook.com/Work on Your Game University. For those of you who are Facebook users, we are live on LinkedIn. That's LinkedIn/Dre All Day. Those of you who are on LinkedIn, my YouTube link is in my profile. My name on X is Dre All Day as well. So if you want to follow me on X, that's the only place where I do active engagement textually. My only verbal active engagement is during these live streams. My only textual engagement at all on any social media is on X, if I even do it there. Some days I'm not even active there. Some days I'm actually doing work. And sometimes I'll engage a little bit on X, depending on the subjects. We are live on Instagram. Good morning over there on Instagram. I think my Instagram is working. It says that it is. And we are live on TikTok. Tap the screen on TikTok. Get the likes up. TikTok. Let's get up to 1,000 likes here. So the topic here today is we're talking about California Governor Gavin Newsom. Allegedly, after this past weekend, he had a good amount of, I guess it's fair to say, vibes and energy and social media momentum. Now, if that's actual electoral momentum is a different story. But he had a lot of social media momentum after this past weekend to possibly be the Democratic nominee for 2028, which is shaping up to be an interesting conversation. So I don't know what exactly Gavin Newsom did over the weekend and made all of a sudden. I think it was Sunday morning. Today's Tuesday. I think it was Sunday. I looked at X and a bunch of people were just talking about Gavin Newsom. And when I say talking about him, a bunch of people, what I mean is the Democrat influencers, the people who are, some of them are paid influencers, some of them are influencing for free. And they were all talking about Gavin Newsom, like how he has all this momentum, and people were making like memes and graphics based on Gavin Newsom. It was graphics of him beating down Trump or defeating Donald Trump, and everybody was pushing this. So this clearly, even though, as I said, some of these people were paid, influencers by the Democratic National Convention, and some of them were just people who are Democratic supporters. They were all excited about what Gavin Newsom is and who he's going to be and what he's going to do, et cetera, et cetera. And because so many people were doing it at the same time, and it seemed incredibly coordinated. It seems like this is the message that the Democratic National Convention decided to push out over the weekend. Why they decided to push this out, I don't know, but we're going to discuss that and a few other things when it comes to Mr. Newsom and the 2028 election possibilities today in this live stream. So first of all, before I even get into this, I am live on 7 different platforms. We're on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble Studio. LinkedIn, Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble Studio, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, 7 different platforms. Tap the screen as y'all are coming in on TikTok. And let me shout out some locations. Tell me your location as y'all are checking in. As y'all are coming in, tell me your location. I'll give you a moment to tell me your locations. Here's what Gavin Newsom said. I'm going to go to Gavin Newsom's X profile. He has 2.4 million followers on X. And he said, his pinned comment says, Donald Trump is once again trying to rig the system. California refuses to stand back while Trump and red states try to dismantle our democracy. So this has been the main talking point with Donald Trump for the last, I would say ever since the 2020 election. So let's just say the last 5 years. Dismantle our democracy, destroy democracy, end democracy. Anything around the word democracy, you can use it against Donald Trump pejoratively, and it tends to work with a large percentage of the audience. So Gavin Newsom has this video that I probably can't play. TikTok's been giving me warnings about playing content on here. So they have this thing called the Election Rigging Response Act that Gavin Newsom is championing. I don't know if he created it, but he has this video here where I'll give you a quick glance at this video, but I can't play the video. TikTok has warned me about this stuff. So trying to stay on good terms with TikTok, at least for now. And this whole defend democracy thing that gets used against Trump, Gavin Newsom has picked up the baton and he's running with it. Now, he also said, let me see. We won't be taking advice on disfranchising voters. So Gavin Newsom picked up the baton of this. California is going to counter what Texas is doing. We talked about this last week, that Texas was having this redistricting vote that the Democrats in Texas refused to be a part of as a way of stopping it from happening. And then Gavin Newsom said, well, they're going to do that in Texas. We're going to do the same thing in California. And allegedly, it looks like, let me see, he said, so Greg Abbott says this. This is the governor of Texas. He said, the derelict Democrats spent 2 weeks of shirking their responsibilities and wasting taxpayer money running from a fight. Now Republicans will do what we were always going to do, pass the new maps and a host of conservative legislations. Now, this is what Greg Abbott said. He said, Democrats tried to stop us because they didn't want to battle with us in the way that you're supposed to battle as politicians. Now we're going to do what we were going to do anyway. This is what Greg Abbott said. But then Gavin Newsom quoted this tweet, and he says, translation, I failed and I got played. But that doesn't quite make any sense. Because Greg Abbott said, we're going to do the thing that we were going to do anyway. So what does he mean he failed? How did you fail if you're doing the same thing you're going to do anyway? I don't understand what Gavin Newsom's response is to this. But anyway, Gavin Newsom seems to be trying to play the social media game. And I guess he thinks he's playing it well because he's pretty active on there, basically counterpunching against anything that anybody else says that he doesn't like. Anybody on the Republican or political right. So let me shout out a few people in the comments, then I'll get into more of my introduction and we'll get into the topic here today. Tell me your location as y'all coming in on TikTok. Courtney, good morning, and all the other apps if you want to. Courtney, good morning. Congrats on first comment. Trucker J, good morning from Oklahoma. Getting around the country again, I see. Dwayne Mitchell, 90, checking in. Detroit is in the house. Traditional all day, good morning. We're at 7,000 likes, folks. Let's get to 10,000, please. Yes, tap the screen as y'all are coming in. Traditional all days have done a good job of making sure everybody's tapping the screen, so I appreciate seeing you in here. I know the likes will be up when you're present. Ashley, thank you for the follow. Good morning. GGB checking in from Florida. We're in Florida. Traditional checking in from Charlotte. Shout out to Charlotte. Nikki from Connecticut. Shout out to Connecticut. Chris Elder Jones from Southern California. Shout out to Southern California. It still gets a little bit too cold there at night, but during the day it's a pretty nice place. Karen Bishop from Alabama. Good morning. Chris Elder, thanks for the follow. Big Shot from Connecticut. Aaron Gephardt Bell from St. Louis. Good morning. Brian Miller, real estate in Chicago. Bravo Girl from MO, Missouri. Is that Missouri? Chris Elder, Southern California. Chris said he's a great governor. Okay, fair enough. Y'all got him. I mean, you should hope he's a great governor. You live there. If I lived there, I would want to be a great governor too. Ron Johnson from Lima, Ohio. Good morning. Where were we? Dot 420. Good morning. Maximus says, how can you trust new scum if his best friend can't trust him with his wife? Well, I don't know if that's the top. I don't know if I'm gonna get to that one today, but I just read your comment, so now it's on the record. Shane Morris says, shame what Gavin Newsom has done to California. So we got some mixed opinions on what Gavin Newsom is doing in California. Somebody said he's a great governor, and then some people said it's a shame. KS Priest, 1201, good morning from Georgia. Coconut Telegraph from Boca Raton / Delray Beach. Nice places. IT Burnout, good morning from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Shout out to the people in the mountains. Shout out to the mountains. I'm in Florida where there are no mountains here. Everything's flat. Flat and wet is how it is here. Carol Ann Collins, Newburgh, New York. Checo 1114. Good morning from California. Okay, so Checo 1114. Can you cast the deciding vote between? I see 3 people from California at least that made themselves visible. What's your take on Gavin Newsom? Good or bad? Positive or negative? We got 1 positive, 1 negative. You would be vote number 3. GGB north of Pensacola. Shout out to Roy Jones Jr. And then we had Take Chances, Live Life from Santanella, California. Okay, so you got to vote on Gavin Newsom. What are your thoughts on Gavin Newsom? Good or bad? Positive or negative on Gavin Newsom? Now, I'm checking on Instagram. I don't know what's happening there, but we're going to let it roll. I don't know what happened. Tony from Nashville, user 748, Texas in the house. Your daddy said Gavin will be president in 2028. He might be. Well, he might get elected. The election's in 2028, so he would technically be president in 2029. But that's what we're going to talk about here today. I'm just shouting people out in the comments, folks, before we get started. We haven't gotten started yet. I'm just shouting out some people, giving me their locations. Miss Bray checking in from Georgia. Shout out to Georgia. Daniel Aker from Toledo, Ohio. Okay, so it looks like Instagram is working. Mr. Shannon from Ohio. Jules from Cali. Mary from San Antonio. Shout out to the Riverwalk. Andrea Renee, hello from H-Town. Shout out to Houston. Houston's a nice place too. Y'all get a little bit too much cold in the winter time. There's not enough water for me. Carlos from Northwest Burbs of Illinois. Shout out to Illinois. OJ, good morning. Cindy, checking in from South Carolina. Good morning. Tony said Republicans believe in trickle-down economics was a proven false economic theory. I'm not quite sure you could say Republicans in general. Maybe there are some people on both sides who believe in that. I mean, you would have to give credit to Bernie Sanders for that too. Is he the one talking about taxing the rich? AOC, taxing the rich, they're both Democrats. So I don't know if you could put that on Republicans, Tony Toaster. I got to challenge that position. OJ, good morning. Thank you for the number 3 gifter badge. Avante, thank you for the share. Take Chances said he has destroyed California. Okay, so there's some mixed opinions on Gavin Newsom in the state of California. Truth Seeker said, flop your camera so all your books are right reading. Well, see, you're not here to read the books. You're here to listen to me. I like the camera this way, but I get every once a week somebody asks me about flipping the camera, but no, I like the camera this way. I appreciate the input, though. Tony said, Republicans believe in trickle down. You already said that. Walter said, I've been subscribed since the basketball videos on YouTube. That's what's up. I'm glad you found me over here on TikTok. If there was TikTok back then, I would have even had more reach. All we had back then was YouTube. Truth said, Florida is a great state to live in. I agree. That's correct. Tony said, Tony, you said the same thing like 3 times. Don't spam my comments. I got you. Happiness Now, checking in from ATL. Thank you for the on-point discussions, Dale. You're welcome. Let's make sure I'm on point today. Congo from California. Positive or negative on Gavin Newsom? You're in California. Give me a positive or negative on Gavin Newsom. So we got a lot of Californians in here. Who is that? I'm just shouting out a couple people in the comments. Then we're going to get started, folks. I haven't actually gotten started yet. Gigi said, love Roy, great guy. Yeah, shout out to Roy Jones. Truth said, negative on Gavin Newsom. Rhonda South from Pitt, Texas. I believe Gavin Newsom is a lizard devil. Okay. Okay. How do you really feel? Chico said he is really bad. Softball Mom said disaster. Okay, so he got some fans and some detractors, it looks like. I'm just shouting out locations here, folks. I haven't even gotten started yet. Avante from Huntsville, Alabama, originally from Lawton, Oklahoma. I've been to Lawton, Oklahoma, believe it or not. That's one town in Oklahoma. I was trying to name the places I've been in Oklahoma. I couldn't remember the names. I've been to Ada, Oklahoma. I've been to Lawton, Oklahoma. There were a few more places in Oklahoma I've been to. I can't remember the names of the towns. But Lawton, I have been to. There was a high school there. I don't know how many high schools they had, but I was on this traveling basketball team. We did an event there. Walter, I appreciate it. Misha Drove said Gavin Crockett 2028. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you want the Republicans to stay in power, you can vote for that. Jasmine Crockett as your vice president? I don't think so. That's not going to happen. But you can dream if you want to. Rhonda Pittman said, if you tax the rich, they can get up and leave, and then the middle class have no jobs. Yeah, we talked about that extensively here, Rhonda. And I think most people logically understand that. They pretend as if they don't. Let's see. Happy Kitty said, PA positive for Gavin Newsom? Positive for Gavin Newsom? Coconut said Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Is that who is Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi's nephew? I didn't know that. Karina said, have family in California. They're miserable with him. So why are they still living there? TikTok said, my business closed the same day Newsom was at French Laundry. Okay, that's a correlation. I don't know if that's the reason, but I get what you're saying. Columbia Republic said, what really good have he done? I don't know. I don't live in California. I'm all the way on the other side of the country. Tweeter, checking in from Kansas. Good morning. Karina says, Spencer Pratt ruined him. What did Spencer Pratt do to Gavin Newsom? I remember Spencer Pratt. He was on, what was that show called? Laguna Beach. I remember that name, Spencer Pratt. John said, Trump got 40% of the vote in Texas and have only 9 to 51 R seats. How is that representative? Oh, you mean the state of Texas? Well, we talked about that last week, if you didn't. Avante said they have 3 high schools, Walton, Eisenhower, and MacArthur. Now, if I got to figure out which one it was, I can't tell you. That was a long time ago. TikTok said, my business was in LA for 10 years. We lost everything because of Newsom. No, I'm sorry to hear that. All right. A couple more shouting people out, then we'll get to it. Mr. Shannon said, why not Jasmine Crockett? Do you consider her to be presidential? You're going to be vice president. That means you're next in line if something happens to the president. She's not there. She's interesting, I guess we can say. She is has made herself notable, but vice president? No, she's not that. Let's see. Can you just imagine if Newsom ran the country like he's run California? California is what Truth Seeker said. I cannot imagine because I don't know how he's running California because I don't live there. So I don't know. I cannot imagine that. User said Pennsylvania, he's destroying California slowly. That's what some say. Sherry from Michigan, good morning. Renee said, I'm loving his energy. Gavin Newsom's energy? Okay. All right, let me get into the content, folks. I haven't even gotten started. So Gavin Newsom is, as I say, he's getting a lot of attention this past weekend. And the buzz has people already speculating on him as a front runner for 2028. So right now, the Democratic Party has, let's see how many front runners we had. First of all, you got Kamala Harris, who was the quote unquote nominee in 2024. However, whatever you think about how she became the nominee, she was technically the nominee. She was on the ballot and she went toe to toe with Trump. Didn't go well, but she was the nominee. So, and she was a former vice president. And she just announced that she's not going to run for governor of California, which tells us that Kamala is keeping her powder dry, as they say. She's keeping her bullets in the holster. And it looks like Kamala's going to be running for president in 2028. So I think it's pretty safe to bet Kamala's going to run. She's going to get into the primary. She's going to run. Is she going to win? Different story. But I think she's going to run. Now you have Gavin Newsom, who's always been looming as a possibility. You have possibly Shapiro from Pennsylvania. I think he's still a possibility. He was a strong name being floated around last year as a possible VP pick with Kamala. Once it was clear that it was going to be Kamala instead of Biden, she needed to pick a VP. She picked Tim Walz from the state of Minnesota, which was a mistake by Kamala Harris. I think if she had picked Josh Shapiro, she had a better chance of winning that election. And by the way, let me say this up front because every day somebody makes the accusation if we're talking politics. I have no side politically. I am not Democrat. I am not Republican. I am not on the blue side. I'm not on the red side. I am not MAGA. I am not anti-MAGA. I am not pro-Trump. I am not anti-Trump. I am just objectively telling you how I see things. Okay, so I'm not on any side. So continuing, Kamala Harris had a better chance of winning the 2024 election if she had Shapiro as her running mate because Shapiro would have helped her, I think, would have helped her carry the state of Pennsylvania, which is one of the swing states that has, 21, I believe, electoral votes. They would have got those votes, and she would have had a chance. Now, she still would have lost, but she had a chance if she would have had Shapiro. She didn't pick Shapiro. We know why she didn't pick Shapiro, because Shapiro is of the J persuasion, and many people in the Democratic Party were going very hard for Palestine in that conflict, so they're not going to pick a guy who's of the J persuasion. That's why she didn't pick him. That was a bad strategic move. And at the same time, I understand why she did it. But picking Tim Walz, he was completely feckless and useless. So that was not a good idea either. So Kamala's campaign was kind of doomed no matter what she did, she was going to lose. And she did lose. So we got Gavin Newsom. We got Kamala. You got Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, possibly. You got possibly Mrs. Whitmer from Michigan. But some saying that her star has faded a little bit. Maybe she'll come back, maybe not. Then you have Buttigieg. That's 5. Is there anybody else in the Democratic side who's a possibility? Oh, yeah, you got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So you got 6. So right now you got 6 players that look like they all have a chance. Is this everybody agree with that 6? Am I missing anybody? I think that's the 6. So we got Kamala, Gavin, Gretchen, Josh Shapiro, Buttigieg, and AOC. And I don't think Bernie Sanders is running for president. So let's just say AOC with Bernie Sanders looming in the shadows. Her uncle, Bernie Sanders, will be telling her what to say, and it'll be AOC. Because AOC is like in her 30s. So that's our 6. And somebody said Jasmine. Jasmine Crockett is not running for president in 2028. What channel are y'all watching? She's not running for president. Jasmine Crockett will be a popular politician, I think. She better watch out for her next election. That she needs to win her next election and the job that she has. But she's nowhere close to being presidential. Y'all need to. I think many of you are conflating social media popularity with being a presidential candidate. They ain't the same thing. Jasmine Crockett is not in that. She's not in that conversation. Some of you have been watching too many cartoons. So who else? Stephen A. Smith is not. He's not a serious candidate. Now Stephen A. Smith, he floated the idea, and he had about a 6-week run where he kept saying, I don't want to do it. I don't like politics, but if the country needs me, I would get into it. He was floating the idea out there. Then they had him on every show. He was on CNN. He's been on Fox. He was on Megyn Kelly. I like Megyn Kelly's show. She had Stephen A. Smith on there, and she was talking to him like he was a serious candidate. Megyn Kelly, what the hell were you doing? I like Megyn Kelly, but that one was like, what are you doing? Stephen A. Smith, really? And she might as well have Jasmine Crockett on the show. She's going to have Stephen A. Smith on the show. Stephen A. Smith now is claiming independent. He's not independent. He's a leftist. He works for ESPN. He promoted the jab hard. And he went hard at Kyrie Irving when Kyrie didn't get the jab. He is on the left. So he pretends like he's in the middle so he can have some objectivity. He doesn't. So no Stephen A. Smith. That's a joke. Not Jasmine Crockett. That's also a joke. And so some of you throwing some names out there that have no chance. Beto O'Rourke. Okay, we got to throw out Beto O'Rourke. Megyn Kelly is what is she? I call her a journalist, an opinion journalist. Greg Abbott can't run, no pun intended. LOL. Well, Greg Abbott is on the right. Anyway, who's Talarico? I don't even know who that is. So I don't know who Talarico is. Michelle Obama's done. No Michelle Obama. She has basically ended. First of all, it was always said that Michelle Obama didn't like politics and didn't want to be in politics. But you know how sometimes people say stuff like that when they really want to get in it. So they play in the Julius Caesar role. Like, I don't really want the crown, but if y'all insist that I take the crown, I guess I got to take the crown. So people thought Michelle Obama was playing that role. But then Michelle Obama started a podcast. And if you've heard anything from Michelle Obama's podcast, you know that she really does not want to be in politics. Because if she did, she wouldn't have started that podcast. And she wouldn't be on there talking the way that she's talking. So she really is not running now. So no, Michelle Obama's done. She has not basically exposed herself as you don't want to listen to Michelle Obama talk too often. So that Michelle Obama's done. So she ain't coming in. I think we named everybody. Someone said J.V. Pritzker. I don't know much about him. Okay. Cory Booker, no. Cory Booker, I say no. I think he is pretty comfortable in his position. Is he a senator? I think he's already a senator, right? I don't know if he's House of Representatives or Senate. I think he's in the Senate. So Cory Booker, I think he's pretty comfortable sitting there in the Senate for the next, how old is Cory Booker? Cory Booker's probably 50 something years old. So he's comfortable sitting there till he's Bernie's age. He got another 30 years in politics. He'll be all right. Wes Moore. Okay. Wes Moore is a possible. He doesn't have nearly as much momentum as these other folks. Possible. Andy Bashore, I have no idea who that is. And that said, what do you have against black women? Nothing. What are you talking about? What I say about black women? I didn't say anything about black women. I said Jasmine Crockett. I said Michelle Obama. I said Kamala's in it. Kamala's black, right? I said Jasmine Crockett has no chance because she doesn't. Michelle Obama has no chance because she doesn't. It's not about them being black. It's about them not having a chance. It's a whole bunch of people. I said Stephen A. Smith. I got something against black men. Let's see. All right. So we got, let's say, our 6. And someone said Beto O'Rourke, we'll say 7. Wes Moore, let's say 8. So we still got a very crowded field. Long story short. So the Democratic primary, which would happen, let's see, the election would be in 2028. So the primary, people will start ramping up in 2027, about 2 years from now, a little more than 2 years from now. Then the primaries will start in early 2028. I think it'd be very interesting. I would pay attention to those debates and hear what everybody is saying, because I think it would probably come down to, given how it looks right now, because this changes, it shifts a lot. Kamala's going to be there. I think Kamala's going to be one of the top 3. I don't think she's going to win the primary. For those of you who are Kamala supporters, I don't think she's going to win the primary. I don't think Kamala is a very good public speaker. And winning primary is a public speaking competition. She's not good. That's her problem. And all the interviews that she did, they tried to limit her interviews, but even the ones that she did, she looked bad in 2024. So that's going to be her problem. I don't think she can solve that problem. Kamala's 60 years old, so she's not all of a sudden going to become good. But she's going to be around simply because she has all the attention of having been the VP for 4 years and having actually been the nominee in 2024. So she's going to be around. She's not going to win. So you got Kamala. You have Newsom, who is actually a good public speaker. I'm not saying I agree with what he says when he speaks, but he is good at the act of speaking. Kamala is not good at the act of speaking, and I don't like the things that she says. So Newsom, I don't like many of the things that he says, but he's actually good at it. So he's going to beat Kamala. If it comes down to Gavin versus Kamala, Gavin's going to beat her. And Shapiro, maybe. What's the woman from Michigan? Whitmer, maybe. And AOC is actually, she looms as a strong one. And she's kind of, the last couple of weeks, she's been kind of quiet. I think she's right now soaking up game from her uncle, Bernie Sanders. AOC is a strong one. I think AOC can go toe-to-toe with Gavin Newsom. She can beat Kamala. And I'm talking just the verbal skills. She can beat Kamala. Kamala's not good at all. She lacks the ability. Gavin Newsom has it. Gavin against AOC would be interesting. That one, I'll say, that one is a get your popcorn ready worthy competition, especially with Bernie in her corner as the cut man, as the trainer. Bernie's like the trainer in the boxing match. In between every round, he's coaching her up on what to say to Gavin Newsom. And Bernie's good. Bernie's 80-something years old. He got a lot of seasoning. So that's what I see. I see the top 3 right now. If I had to pick 3 right now, I'm going AOC, Gavin, Kamala. And I think it comes down to Gavin versus AOC. And for TV purposes, AOC winning would be the most interesting for TV purposes. Now, for American citizen purposes, I think we'd be better off with Gavin Newsom winning the nomination. Doesn't mean either one of them is going to beat the Republican, whoever that may be. But the prospect of AOC being the president of the United States of America, I think that's kind of scary. It would be interesting if she was the nominee, but it would be kind of scary that she might possibly win. So that's where I stand today. But it's only August of 2025. It's way early for this. A lot of things can change between now and the spring of 2028. So we're getting ahead of ourselves. So he's looking back to Gavin Newsom. That's who we're supposed to be talking about here today. He is allegedly the front runner for 2028 this week. This week, he's the front runner. 3 weeks from now, is going to be a new front runner. This is how it goes. So it's still early. 3 years ago, before, maybe a little bit closer to 2.5 years before there's real campaigns. But right now, Gavin Newsom has all the social media momentum. This past weekend, he had a lot of momentum on social media because he is an active social media user. I think the Democratic Party is realizing, actually not realizing, many people in the Democratic Party realize, I think Democrats already understood this as a whole, but many in the party are realizing that if we're going to play this game, we got to get on social media. We got to actually get on podcasts. We have to actually get into this new media, this Web 3.0 space of social media, making your own content, counter punching against people, taking their posts and then counter punching against their posts and telling them why they're wrong, and basically slam dunking on people on X. It all goes down on X, by the way, for those of you who don't know. Any of you want to get into the current events game and see what's actually happening, where it is X. X is the town square of the internet. All right, the town square is the place where everybody goes to find out what's happening, who's doing what, to find out the news of the neighborhood. That all happens on X. Gavin Newsom is very active on X. Kamala Harris, not so much. And the reason why Kamala is not so active on X is what I just told you. Kamala is not very good verbally. She's not good in the verbal jousting. She's not a good verbal back and forth type person. Y'all remember it was about a year or so ago when the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, they had like a debate. And what were they doing? Did they debate? I guess we can call it that. Y'all remember that debate the two of them had? DeSantis against Gavin Newsom? Here's the thing. Kamala Harris could never do that. Could you see Kamala Harris doing that against anybody? Whether even against a fellow Democrat or Republican. You couldn't see Kamala Harris even agreeing to sit down to something like that because she doesn't have the verbal dexterity. To debate, you got to have verbal dexterity. You got to be able to let somebody make a point that they think is a good point, and then you got to counter their point quickly, and then they make a counter to yours, and then you counter them back, and there's this whole back and forth, and you're trying to slam dunk on the other person. You're going to get dunked on a couple times. You're going to dunk on them a couple times, and there's this whole back and forth. But you got to be very good on your feet. You got to be on your toes verbally to do that. Kamala Harris is not that. And to win the nomination, she has to beat people who are that. AOC is that. Gavin Newsom is that. So how's she going to win? Any Kamala fans here can explain to me how she's going to win when she doesn't have the skill to do this? And whoever comes up on the political right, let's just say it's Marco Rubio. Let's say it's J.D. Vance. Let's say it's Ron DeSantis. Any one of those three. Let's just say those three. All of them really good on their toes verbally. How is Kamala going to compete with any of these people? I'm seriously asking the question. How can she beat any of them? She can't. Kyle says she destroyed Trump in that debate. Really? She destroyed Trump in the debate? And then what happened? What do you mean she destroyed Trump in the debate? I don't think she did. The problem with that debate is that the moderators were getting in the way too much. What they should do, if they want to have a real debate in politics, they're never going to do this, at least not in the next foreseeable future. What they need to do is just let the two candidates just talk and the moderators stay out of it. They need to just let two people go back and forth and just argue and stay out of it. Y'all remember the last time this happened was the first debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden in 2020. Y'all remember that one? When Trump and Biden, they were like yelling at each other and talking over top of each other. And Biden was like, would you shut up, man? And everybody was saying, this is terrible. This is bad look for America. This is not the way debates are supposed to go. This is not presidential. This is not professional. And then by the next debate, they start turning off people's mics. And now it became very much more stiff. I think they need to go back to the old way. They need to go back to how it was the old way. The old way is both of them had the mics hot and on. Hot mic means the mic is on, meaning it's picking up what you're saying, and let them just go at it. The moderator is there as window dressing. They jump in every now and then. But the moderator should just throw something out there. It's like throwing a piece of meat in between two pit bulls and just let them fight. Let them verbally go at it and let the people decide what we want to hear. We don't want the moderators deciding how we see the outcome of a debate. I didn't like the debates of 2024 simply because the moderators had way too much control and they turned off the mics, and it was very soundbite-ish. I don't want the soundbite. I don't want the prepared statements. And the 2024 debates were set up to help the political left. They were set up to help the Democrats, because Kamala could just come in with a bunch of prepared statements. How many of y'all think, give me a yes or no, do y'all think that the moderators told Kamala what the questions would be before the debate? Yes or no? My guess is that they did. How many of you think that Kamala had the questions before the debate? Yes or no? I think she did. I think she had the questions before the debate. Why do I think she had the questions before the debate? One, because the moderators were, the platforms that they did the debates on were left-leaning platforms. That's one. We know that to be true. Number two, you could tell by what the moderators did during the debates that they fact-checked Trump, and then they fact-checked Vance, even in the VP debate, on things that they said that they got wrong that were factually incorrect. Yet there were no fact checks against Tim Walz. There were no fact checks against Kamala Harris, even though both of them said things that were factually inaccurate. And we know that that happened. They only fact checked one side of the conversation, which shows you that they were biased. You can't have a biased moderator. The whole point of being a moderator is that you're not biased. They were biased moderators. And three, we know that Kamala is not good speaking off the cuff. You have Kamala Harris speak off the cuff, you are in for a disaster. And if you're on the political left, you don't want her speaking off the cuff. So how was she able to, quote unquote, destroy Trump in that debate? Anybody who says that, there's still people holding on to this fallacy that she destroyed him in the debate. Let's just say that she did. Okay. Why was she able to do that? Why was she able to speak so smoothly? Because she knew exactly what she was going to say. Now, how would she know what to say if she didn't know what the questions would be? That's because she knew the damn questions. She knew the questions ahead of time so she could prepare her answers. Trump didn't know the questions. He's the off the cuff type of guy. And this is why Kamala looked smooth in the debate. But again, people weren't fooled by that nonsense. So anyway, my point here is with the debates, they need to go back to the old school way of turn the mics on, throw a question out there, and let them talk. These people are about to be the leaders of our country. Let them talk. They don't need to be controlled. They don't need to turn their mic. You can't turn the mic off on their president. Can you turn Trump's mic off now? Could you turn Biden's mic off when he was president? Could you turn Obama's mic off? You can't turn their mic off. Let them talk. Let them say what they want to say. They're going to be the leader of the country. I want to hear everything that they have to say, especially when they didn't know what was going to be said to them. And especially when they're talking to someone who is of equal status of them. I like to hear that. I want to hear that conversation. I want to hear that back and forth because I want to see how they deal with being challenged. See, it's one thing to be challenged by a reporter. You can just shut the reporter up or ignore the reporter. You can have your press people just tell that reporter you can't ask any more questions because I don't like the questions you're asking. So you can't do that to someone who is of equal status as you. You're the Democratic nominee. They're the Republican nominee. Okay, y'all go at it. I want to hear this. I want to hear what you had to say. I want to hear what they had to say. And let's see how you stand up to being challenged verbally in front of the whole country, the whole world. The whole world is watching this. I want to see how you deal with that. I don't think Kamala would have did too well. I think Trump would have been fine. Trump is good at this. This is what he likes to do. Biden, Trump, the first debate was funny. At the same time, it kind of got a little bit wild, but so what? That's how it is. And if you can't play dirty, you can only play when everything is clean and perfectly set up for your success. I'm not sure I can trust you. I'm not sure I can trust what you're going to do moving forward. So anyway, continuing what I'm saying here. So it's pretty early for this whole thing. Gavin Newsom has all this momentum allegedly via social media. Here's the problem with that. Kamala Harris had momentum on social media. Y'all remember a year ago? Y'all remember 12 months ago? 12 months ago, Kamala Harris had vibes. Remember the vibes? Remember the Kamala Harris vibes in the summer of 2024? It was around this time. It was about August of last year. August going into September. I think like all of August and all of September, Kamala Harris had about a 60-day run of being on top. And when I say on top, meaning everybody was saying how much momentum she had. There were so many people at her rallies and so many more people at her events than were at the Trump events. And she had all this momentum and everybody was excited about her and everyone was talking about her on social media. And a whole bunch of people on the left were defending her because she's a female, defending her because she's a person of color, defending her because, hey, she was the VP, so she earned it, defending her because she worked in the judicial system, she worked in the legislative system, and she worked in the executive branch. She had all three levels. She was fully qualified. She had all this experience, and she got all these vibes on social media. We've never seen anything like this. It's completely unprecedented until November 5th, 2024. And we found out that all of that shit meant a whole bunch of nothing. So Gavin Newsom having all these vibes and momentum on social media, does it really mean anything? No, we already know it doesn't mean anything. Kamala Harris, we can thank Kamala Harris for that, for proving that having vibes on social media does not mean you will win an election, because she already tried it and it failed. But Gavin Newsom has more form and more substance than Kamala Harris does, for specifically one reason, what I just told you. The guy can actually speak off the cuff. He is willing to duke it out verbally with his political opponents, and he's actually good at it. All right, 1, 2, 3. Kamala doesn't have any of those three. That's why it's a problem for you Kamala supporters and the Democratic Party. So the question is Gavin Newsom being positioned as the next guy up for the Democrats? And if so, what does that mean for the field, his record, how he been framed against competitors like Buttigieg, AOC, Kamala Harris? Let's talk about it. All right, so all of that was the intro. All right, y'all ready for the rest? So my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we teach top 2% discipline to top 2% performers. Learn more about working with me and what we do in our programs. We're going to the links in my profile. And please keep liking the live on TikTok. I see we're at almost 50,000. Please keep liking the live. I am live on 7 different platforms: TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. So the replays to all of these lives are always on my YouTube channel. Make sure you're following me on at least one other platform besides the one you're watching me on, just in case something goes wrong on any platform. You can follow me on another. If you're on TikTok, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, for all the replays are on YouTube. So if you ever miss one, they're on YouTube. And follow me on Instagram just in case there's any shenanigans that happen on TikTok. I've been suspended from TikTok 15 times in the last year. That is not an exaggeration, literally 15 different times, because I said something that I wasn't supposed to say according to TikTok's community guidelines. I don't even know what I got wrong most of the time. But just in case it happens again, we make sure we got some plan Bs in place. So these memes that were going around on Sunday, I saw these Sunday morning. So I guess it was happening on Saturday. They're fueling his popularity allegedly with the youth. The youth are all excited about Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom's the next wave and all of this. The problem with this framing is that they said the same thing about Kamala Harris. This is the problem. Now, they said the same thing about Barack Obama. He won 2 elections. So it doesn't mean it means nothing, but it also doesn't mean it means something. It's just data. That's all. It's just data. Is the data good or is it bad? It's neutral. They said all the youth are behind Kamala Harris because Donald Trump is almost 20 years older than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is young, and Kamala Harris, she comes from a family that comes from different parts of the world. She's not just this straight white man. There was a whole lot of things that allegedly were working in the favor of Kamala Harris back then when it came to the youth. And the Democratic Party was claiming that they were the party of the youth. And they have all these influencers who are younger folks. The influencers on the Democratic side, a lot of them are of the younger generation. I don't know how old many of these people are, but I see a few of them on social media. Like you had the fat chick who was allegedly in charge of bringing men back to the Democratic Party, which made no sense. I think they said they took her off that job. You got that other guy named, what's his name? Harry, who looks like he might be gay, but then he is posting photos and stuff that looks like he has a girl. Who knows him? They look young. The whole point is they look young. Then you got that other kid who likes to debate everybody. He's always trying to debate Charlie Kirk. What's that kid's name? Another white kid. He's always trying to debate Charlie Kirk. That kid, whatever his name is. And they're mostly young. So they are claiming that they have all the youth votes. But the problem is what happened in November 2024. Where were all these youth voters on election day? Because clearly they didn't show up to vote because Kamala didn't win. So the Democrats are claiming they have the youth. And I don't think that's true. I think there are youth on the right. There are youth on the left. I think it's pretty much split down the middle the same way it is with every other group of people, with the full-grown adults, with the middle-aged people, with the elderly people. I think it's pretty much split down the middle. Actually, I think the older you go, I think the more right people tend to lean. So I think the reason people are doing this, actually, we know the reason people are doing this, is Donald Trump did it first. Donald Trump came with this off-the-beaten-path approach to politics. I'm going to get on social media. I'm going to get on, at the time it was Twitter. It's now X. I'm going to get on Twitter, and I'm going to bash my opponents through Twitter. I'm not going to go on TV. I'm not going to go on CNN. I'm not going to go to the New York Times. I'm going to get on Twitter on my phone at midnight, and I'm going to bash my opponents. And I'm going to do all my campaigning through social media. And Donald Trump wasn't doing it as... This is the reason why Trump has the position that he has. I mean, I won't even call it momentum because he's not running for election again. But the reason why it worked for Trump is because he wasn't doing it as a strategy. He was doing it just because this is how he naturally behaves. It wasn't like, let me think, how do I win an election? I guess I'll get on Twitter. I guess I got to be on Twitter and I got to post this many times a day. See, when you're doing it that way, it's not natural. It's manufactured. That's what the Democrats are doing right now. Gavin Newsom is it looks like he's trying to do it more naturally. We'll see. He got to do it for another 2.5 years, and we'll see if he's real, if he can keep it up. Donald Trump does it because that's just what he did. Donald Trump used to get on social media and post shit before he was in politics. If you remember, those of you old enough to remember, he would get on social media and just post stuff. And again, he wasn't even in politics. He'd just be talking, just saying whatever he wanted to say. He naturally gravitated towards using it, whereas a lot of politicians, they're used to playing the political game. Be all stiff, go on TV, do your spots. Gavin Newsom seems to understand that the game has shifted, at least if you want to win and get a lot of momentum. He's trying to do what Trump did. I don't think is as natural for Gavin Newsom, and his put-togetherness might actually work against him, but we'll see. And his track record in California, which we're going to get to in a minute. So people are trying to follow what Trump did, maybe what somebody like AOC, who's like half Trump's age, maybe less than half Trump's age, what somebody like she is doing. And now she's on tour with Bernie Sanders, so she's able to hit kind of both demographics. And he's trying to look cooler than his establishment reputation. The problem is Gavin Newsom is a very establishment type of guy, and that's a problem. All right, so to be an establishment guy can hurt you when you're following in the footsteps of Donald Trump. Even though Donald Trump is technically, he comes from somewhat of an establishment. His dad was in real estate. His dad helped him get started in real estate. He's a real estate guy, and building real estate in Manhattan that doesn't make you some everyday person. You ain't no everyday 9-to-5 man building real estate in Manhattan. But Donald Trump is able to speak to the everyday people. And Gavin Newsom, I'm not sure he can do it. I'm not sure he can pull this one off. Gavin Newsom seems like, I don't know that much about the man's background, but he seems like a country club guy. Seems like a guy who grew up with parents who were country club members, and he played golf and cricket on weekends. And he probably had a nice car the day he turned 16, driving to high school. And now he's trying to talk to the everyday person. I'm not sure that's going to land. That's how I see it. Give me a yes or no if you agree with that or disagree with what I just said about Gavin Newsom. Some of you know a lot more about him than I do, about his background than I do. He seems like an establishment guy. Just looking at him and listening to him, he seems like an establishment guy who's always been in the rooms that not everybody can get into. And he knows a lot of people in those rooms, and he's leveraged that to get to the position he's at, which is fine. I'm not knocking his status. At the same time, how are you going to talk to the everyday person if that's where you're from? How are you going to talk to the everyday person? You're not the everyday person. All right. How are you going to talk to the waiter or the waitress? You've never been a waiter or a waitress. How are you going to talk to the person who's trying to figure out how to pay their bills at the end of the month? You never had to figure out how to pay your bills at the end of the month. See, Donald Trump could talk to those people, not because necessarily he was that, maybe when he was in debt, maybe, but because he worked with a lot of those people. The guy was a real estate guy, and he knew the contractors. He knew the construction workers. He would go and shake their hands, and he understood that. So that's the difference between Gavin Newsom and Trump. Gavin Newsom is kind of as they call it, a limousine liberal. That's what he seems like, a limousine type of guy. Donald Trump seems like, and he was the type of guy who walked the construction site with the hard hat on, shaking hands with the guys with dirt on their fingernails. Gavin Newsom ain't that. So Newsom supporters, y'all need an answer to this. I didn't even ask you a question, but this conundrum needs to be answered. Because if you're going to win an election in the United States of America, most people don't ride in limousines. Most people don't go to country clubs. Most people are just trying to pay their bills. So how can Gavin Newsom relate to these people? There's another problem Kamala Harris had. Kamala Harris, at least Gavin Newsom, I can give you his form. I can look at him and tell you a little bit about how I see him. He comes off as this type of person, what I just described. Kamala Harris, I have no idea what the form is. What's the form of Kamala Harris? Who is Kamala Harris? She was a nominee for 107. Was it 107 days? Was it the name of her book? 107 days. Who is she? I still don't know. The issue with Kamala Harris was then, it was in 2019, actually. I didn't know much about her in 2019 when she tried to run in a Democratic primary and failed so miserably she dropped out before they even started voting, lest we forget. Then 2020, she became the VP with Biden. Okay, you're the VP, whatever. Then she backed into the nomination, and she was the nominee in 2024. She had 107 days. Who is Kamala Harris? What is she actually about? I don't know. She was nominated for 107 days. I still don't know. Does any of you know? What is Kamala's form? Where'd she come from? I don't know. I still don't know. Yes, I know she she went to an HBCU and she pledged. Yeah, okay. All right. What is she actually about? Because she sit down for 3 hours with Joe Rogan? I don't think so. According to her campaign, Joe Rogan and his team didn't help make the interview happen. I don't think that's the case. I don't think she really wanted to do that interview. After Trump did his, Trump sat down with 3 hours with Joe Rogan. You could just shoot shit with Donald Trump. Can you just shoot shit with Kamala Harris? About what? What are you going to talk about? I don't know. Again, I don't know. Kamala Harris is a whole lot of I don't knows. And there's sometimes a benefit to I don't know. If you're James Bond, there's a benefit to people not knowing everything about you. But if you're running for president, people got to kind of get a feel for who you are and what you're about, whether they like it or dislike it, but at least there's clarity. When it comes to Donald Trump, everybody has clarity on Donald Trump. No one's confused. Either you like him or you don't, but everybody has an opinion because you know who he is. And he doesn't try to pretend to be something he ain't. What is Kamala Harris? Who is Kamala Harris? I don't know. And this is a problem because, again, to win an election in the United States of America, the majority of people are not limousine liberals. The majority of people are not rich. The majority of people are just trying to pay their bills, take care of their kids, and have a better life for the next generation than they had for themselves. That's the majority of people. You have to relate to them in some way. I don't see how Kamala Harris relates to these people because she seems so plastic. It's just plastic, the way she puts herself out there. And still, the election was, 10 months ago? 9 months ago? I haven't really heard her talk. Where is she? Where is Kamala Harris? Anybody know? What's she doing? I know where Gavin Newsom is at. I'm looking at Gavin Newsom right now. I can show you Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is on X with 2.4 million followers. And he's out here tweeting. He's out here posting. He went at, who is this? He went at Greg Abbott, went at Greg Abbott again. He went at Speaker Mike Johnson. He went at Donald Trump. He went at, I'm just showing you people he's going, I'm just reading through his timeline. He went at Donald Trump again. Then there was a comparison between him and J.D. Vance, and he said something about that. Then he said something about J.D. Vance again. He's making fun of J.D. Vance. Then he makes fun of Donald Trump again. Then there's more about Gavin Newsom's press. Then he posted a video of himself. Then there's Stephen Miller saying that Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, that's the governor. Who is she? The mayor of LA? Yeah, Karen Bass, mayor of LA. Guilty of crimes against humanity. And Gavin Newsom says Stephen Miller is lying and whining again. So he must be doing something right. So he's kind of playing the ridicule game. So he knows how to play the game of at least getting his name out there. At least he's doing that. Let's see what Kamala Harris is doing. Let's find Kamala Harris. Where is she? Kamala Harris. I'm following Kamala Harris. Y'all see it right there? I'm following her. Am I following Gavin Newsom? Let me make sure I'm following Gavin Newsom because I need to know what's going on. Am I following Gavin? All right, I just followed Gavin Newsom. Let me follow. I'm already following Kamala. Let's see what she's doing. Kamala Harris. All right, always. This is what it says on her profile. And I'm reading her profile right here on X. And this is where it goes down. Y'all want to know what's happening in the world. X is where it happens. Kamala Harris, always fighting for the people. Wife, mama, okay. Auntie, she, her. She has her pronouns in her bio. Okay. 107 Days. That's her new book. Available for pre-order now. Now she's selling a book. And y'all saw this 107 Days. Now, Kamala has 20 million followers on X. So she has 10 times as many followers as Gavin Newsom. This is what happens when you get on the stage. This is the reason why she must be dealt with in 2028. Those of you who are Democrats, whoever you like, Kamala Harris will be involved. She has 20 million followers. She was the vice president for 4 years. And she was technically the nominee last year. She will be around. Whether you like her or not, she's going to be around. So her last post was 3 days ago. And it shows her sitting at she's talking to young Latino leaders on August 6th. And it just shows her sitting there talking to some young people. And they're asking her a question and she's answering the question. I'm not going to listen to what she's saying. And without even hearing what she's saying, I get an impression of her. Kamala Harris is very corporate. That's the best way I would describe her without using any other language that might get me suspended on TikTok again. She's very corporate. And what do I mean by corporate? Any of you works in a corporation knows what I mean. In a corporation, you walk in the building and somebody who doesn't know you and may not even like you They smile at you. You know what I'm talking about? I call it the corporate smile. Any of you knows anything about body language knows that when someone's really smiling and they're really happy to see you, the smile shows in the eyes, not in the mouth. So you can make your mouth smile when you're not really happy. Kamala is very corporate in that I very rarely do I see sincerity in her expressions, even though she's saying the thing that sounds good. That's the issue with Kamala. It's just she doesn't come off as genuine. Gavin Newsom, he doesn't always come off as genuine either, but I believe that he believes what he's saying. Same thing with Donald Trump. A lot of people say, well, Donald Trump's lying. Donald Trump's always lying. You may believe that, but do you believe that he believes what he's saying? I think you do. You believe that he believes that he's telling you some nonsense and you think it's nonsense, but I think he believes that he's telling you what he needs you to know. Gavin Newsom, I think, falls into the same category. Kamala Harris does not. That's an issue. That's an issue because when you're trying to convince 150 million people, let's just say those are the voters, to vote for you, they had to believe you. Again, they don't have to agree with you. They have to believe you. Kamala Harris has a believability issue. Gavin Newsom does not. Again, you don't have to like Gavin Newsom. So here's what, I'm going to go back to Kamala. So we're supposed to be talking about Kamala. So 3 days ago, she's sitting down with these Democrats, Latino leaders. I don't know if this is in Texas or California. I guess it's in Texas. It doesn't say. So she says it's going to take all of us to fight back against the Republican redistricting efforts in Texas. I'm so proud of Democrats in the state legislature. So I'm guessing this is in Texas. Kamala's jumping into business in Texas when she has nothing to do with Texas. Why? I don't know. This was 3 days ago on her X profile. 3 days ago. Keep that number in mind. Now, the previous post by Kamala was July 31st, which was 3 weeks ago. And this was the 3 weeks ago when she was promoting her book, 107 Days. So other than that, Kamala Harris is not even active out here. So Kamala Harris is playing the same game as Joe Biden. Remember Donald Trump was calling him Joe Biden in 2020. He was just hiding in his basement. So he didn't do or say anything wrong so he could possibly win the election. And we ain't going to talk about the 2020 election because I'm not trying to get suspended again off TikTok. Kamala Harris is playing the same game as Joe Biden. The problem is she doesn't have the same issues as Joe Biden. So why is she hiding? Why is she not talking? I just told you why she's not talking. Because the more Kamala Harris talks, the worse she looks. Here's the problem. To win a primary and to win an election, you have to talk. So Kamala has a catch-22 issue here. She got a chicken and egg problem. You got to talk to win the nomination, and you got to talk to win the election. But the more she talks, the worse she looks. This is why even in 107 days, she eventually said enough to hurt her chances of winning. So what does she do? Any of you have a solution for this? I think the Harris campaign may want to hear from you. You might want to write a letter to the Kamala Harris committee because she needs some help. This problem must be resolved before 2020, like late 2027. About 2 years from now, this problem has to be resolved. What is she going to do? She says you can't hide in your basement during the primary. You ain't going to win. And when she came outside during the primary 6 years ago, everybody remembers what happened, right? Some of you don't remember what happened. There's a reason why you don't remember what happened because there wasn't much to it. Before they even started voting, she had to stop her campaign because she had no chance. Now, what's going to happen this time? I think she'll start actually getting to the votes because she was the VP. She has enough followers and enough fans that she's going to get votes, but I don't think she's going to win. Continuing. Popularity for memes does not equal votes. Again, Kamala Harris proved this. But Gavin Newsom's a little bit different approach than Kamala. And they're both in California. So Newsom is signaling that he will fight dirty. He is willing to fight dirty. And I believe he is. He's willing to fight dirty. I can see it in his social media posts. He's willing to play the snark game. He's willing to play the ridicule game. He's willing to play the language game and try to talk circles around you. And he's willing to try to slam dunk on you. He's willing to play. He is willing to do that. And if you're going to be on social media, you're not willing to play that game, you can't be on social media. Don't get on social media if you don't want to play. And when I say social media, I'm talking X. If you don't want to catch an elbow to the chest, don't get on X. It's like playing basketball back in the day. My sport professionally was basketball. Now, it's a little bit different these days. But back in the days, playing basketball, if you drove to the basket, you're going to get hit. You're going to get elbowed. You might bleed. You might get knocked down. You're out there trying to slam dunk on people and be Michael Jordan or LeBron, you're going to get knocked down. Why? Because that's the game. You can't come in the paint soft. X is the paint. And the paint is like the area near the basket in basketball. Gavin Newsom's willing to play dirty. Kamala Harris, let me back up. The reason Gavin Newsom can play dirty is because he's willing to try to dunk on people and willing to get dunked on and risk getting dunked on. You got to be willing to play that game. And if you can't deal with that verbal jousting, that verbal sparring, X is not the place for you. This is the reason why Kamala don't post on X. She don't want to get dunked on. And she can't dunk on anybody. Kamala can't dunk. All right, so Kamala's like the WNBA player. All right, she can't dunk. So only thing she can do is get dunked on. So he's willing to fight dirty. He's done this redistricting campaign, allegedly, in California to fight against the people in Texas. And he's positioning himself as someone who's willing to fight against the Republicans. That is good. That's necessary if you're going to win a Democratic nomination. You got to do it. But these redistricting threats can easily backfire. It can be looked at as undemocratic, as manipulative, as hypocritical for someone claiming to defend democracy. So that can be used against him. And this is all part of the mudslinging that goes on in politics. Now, Newsom is framing himself as, quote unquote, standing up to Donald Trump. This is what everybody says, right? I'm standing up to Donald Trump. Here's the problem. Donald Trump is not running for president. So you are claiming that you're standing up to Donald Trump, but you are merely one of 50 governors. Donald Trump is the president. So what do you mean you're standing up to Donald Trump? What are you actually doing? What are you actually doing? By posting on social media? Again, posting on social media is not nothing, but is also not enough. We learned this in 2024. You got to have more than that. You got to have some actual substance to what you're doing. And there are a lot of Democrats who still define themselves by it's us against Trump or it's me against Donald Trump. Follow me because I'm going to stand up to Donald Trump. The problem is Donald Trump's not the candidate you're running against. But right now, we don't know who the 2028 candidate is for the Republican side. So on the Democratic side, I've been saying this for the last 8 months. Ever since Trump came back in office, I've been saying the same thing. The Democratic Party, or whoever their leaders are, need to somehow, whether subtly or very obviously, shift the terrain from we are fighting against Trump to we are fighting against whatever the Republicans represent. It can't just be Trump. Because what are you going to fight against when he's not the nominee anymore? Y'all are going to get caught flat-footed. You get caught flat-footed, and now your opponent has the advantage over you. They got to shift the terrain from just being anti-Trump everything. Now, maybe they'll shift after 2026, after the midterm elections. So they still have another year or so. Those midterm elections, if the Democrats get control, I think they're going to win either the House or the Senate. They're going to win one or the other, I'm predicting, just because of the natural balance of things in America. They're going to win one or the other. I don't know if they're going to get both. They're going to get one or the other. At that point, they need to shift the ground to it's not just Trump. We're going against the Republicans, period. Here's what we are about. Here's what the Democrats represent. Right now, all the Democrats have represented for the last 10 years is we're not Trump. That works when you're fighting against him in an election. It doesn't work when he's no longer the candidate. Who are you now? And if you're a Democratic voter, if you're a political leftist, you should be asking this question. All right, I am not a Democrat. I'm not a leftist. I'm asking the question. Y'all should be asking this question like 10 times because they need to be about something. So standing up to Trump is just posturing. You're basically fighting against a ghost. All right, Trump ain't going to be around anymore. So compared to Kamala, AOC, Buttigieg, Newsom is more seasoned. He's more polished. I think he has more, as far as overall political experience, I think he has the most in terms of the type of job he'd be going for. He has the governor credibility, and all that plays better in a general election. So right now, if the election was today, just for the Democrats, who do y'all think will win? Give me a name. If the Democrats had an election today, just to pick their nominee, who's winning? So you got Gavin, you got Kamala, you got AOC, you got Buttigieg. I think they're the top four. Who's winning? 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's the winner? If they had their election today, give me an answer. What do y'all think? Democrats have their election today. Who is the winner? We got Gavin Newsom, you got Kamala Harris, you got AOC, you got Pete Buttigieg. I say Gavin Newsom. My pick is Gavin. Right now, he wins. He has more seasoning than all of them. He is more polished than all of them. He's more pragmatic than all of them. And he has the governor credibility that none of them have. Kamala is not seasoned enough. She's not skilled enough talking. AOC is skilled in talking. She's young and doesn't have a ton of experience and not a ton of substance either. Buttigieg has some things, but he doesn't have the checks on his resume that Newsom has. He easily clears all of them. So if nothing happens between now and 2027, he's going to be the nominee. If he runs, let's assume that he's running, and it looks like he's going to run. So this long record that he has also can work against him. thing about having a long record is that there's a lot of things people can use against you, because the more you do, the more material you provide your opponents. So more experience means more baggage. So they can catch him on everything that happened during the virus. The fact that he was at some restaurant eating with no mask on his face when everybody else is supposed to wear a mask on their face. There's a whole lot of politicians guilty of that. They're going to use that against him. And the people in California who are not fans of whatever he's done in, with, or to California, they're going to use that against him. So let's just say 40% of the people in California don't like Gavin Newsom. Right? Some might say, well, so what? Big deal. 40% of people in one state out of 50. The issue is California is a very big state. They have a lot of electoral votes. Does California have the most electoral votes in the country? I think they do. I think California has the most electoral votes in the whole United States. So 40% of those people is a lot of people. Doesn't mean he won't win the state. If he runs, he's going to win the state of California. Definitely. As far as the Democrats go, he'll win the state. The issue is there's a lot of people in California who are not fans of Newsom, and they will come out in support of his opponents to attack him. And there's going to be enough of them that their message is significant simply because of volume, because there's going to be so many people, because there's so many people in the state of California. So many people from California who are not fans of Gavin Newsom. So that's going to get used against him. He's got to prepare for that. The homelessness issue in California, he's got to prepare an answer for that. When there was a foreign dignitary, I believe he was from China, coming to visit California, and Newsom cleaned all the homeless people off the streets for that guy, but he won't clean the homeless people off the streets otherwise. That's going to get used against him. He's going to look like an elitist. That's what he's going to get positioned at. He's this he's this elitist individual, this limousine liberal who only cares about other people who are up here in the upper echelon. Yet, how's he going to fight against the oligarchy? How's he going to get people to pay their fair share of taxes? He doesn't care. This is an angle that, let's say, an AOC could use against him. If it comes to AOC versus him, if they're both on the dais at a debate, she's going to use this against him. And again, she's being coached by her uncle, Bernie Sanders. They're going to use this against him. Even if Bernie runs. I don't think Bernie's running. He's too old. But he was passing all his game on to his niece, AOC. And she's going to use this against him. And she absolutely should. This guy's a limousine liberal. And the cost of living in California. All these things are going to get used against him. The things that happen with any type of the wildfires, anything that's happened with real estate, people with shoreline, coastal real estate, and the state not doing the right things about that, all of that's going to get used against him. And California is a big state with a lot of good things and a lot of problems. So all of those are going to be issues he's going to have to deal with. He's going to need a very sharp team to help him out. Now, Newsom does have strong name recognition. He's known in politics, and being known matters more than being liked. He's already nationally recognizable. Here I am in the state of Florida, never lived in California. I know who he is. All of you know who he is, even though he's never had a national position. He's always been state. He's California. But everybody knows his name. Now, he ain't as big as Kamala, but I believe he's better than Kamala. And you put them in the same room, he's going to win. That's an issue, Kamala fans. Kamala fans, any of you want to stand up and be recognized? What is your pushback on this? If you got some, please let me know. Kamala has a problem. She got a problem right now. She's going to get the Democratic nomination. Now, this image of being elitist, this could turn voters off because he's seen as this coastal elite, as I said, this limousine liberal individual, and it doesn't play well in the swing states. You're a coastal elite. So what are the swing states we're talking? We're talking, it used to be Ohio, maybe not so much anymore. You got Michigan, you have Nevada, you have Pennsylvania, you have Georgia, you have North Carolina. All of these swing states. How is he going to do in these states? Because these are not, for the most part, none of these states are coastal, right? None of these states are coastal states. They're all somewhat in the middle of the country. Many of them lean more towards the east of the Mississippi, but none of them is coastal states. How's he going to do with these people? You're this coastal elite pretty boy from California with the slick back hair. How are you going to get these people to trust you? That's a problem, especially if he's going against, let's say, a J.D. Vance, a guy who comes from a Midwestern state, and he comes from a rough upbringing, and he went and made it happen despite that rough upbringing. How's he going to do against a J.D. Vance with the middle of the country? He'll get the coast, he'll get the West Coast, he'll get the East Coast. But now, what about all the rest of the states, the flyover states? What are you going to do there? This is an issue that Gavin Newsom's team is going to have to figure out. He's going to need a big team and a good team. So this momentum is giving him a head start. So right now, he looks like the best safe bet in 2028, and the safe bet often works in bureaucracies. Safe works very well in bureaucratic environments. The election's still a couple years away. So front runners might peak too early. New faces, new events can shift the entire landscape. So right now is way early for all of this. We don't know who the nominee is going to be. It might not be any of these people. So between AOC, Kamala, Gavin, Buttigieg, Whitmer, Shapiro, Stephen A. Smith, Jasmine Crockett, it might not be any of these people. It might be somebody whose name we're not even mentioning right now. Might be the nominee in 2028 for the Democratic Party. It's still very early. I think the midterms have to happen first before we really know what's going to happen. And Kamala might be playing a better long-term strategic game. Maybe she's just laying low and staying quiet and saying, listen, I only got but so many good sound bites in me, so let me not, because there was so many times that she said, what was the thing that she kept saying? The hopes and the dreams and the aspirations. Remember she kept saying that? She said it so many times. Kamala was like, listen, I got about 20 good sound bites in me, so let me just save those so I don't have to say them 50 times. I only got to say them 20 times because she can't talk but so much without putting her foot in her mouth. So all that being said, folks, let's get to the conversation. All right. Okay. Let's get to the conversation and the comments. Well, we already had a conversation, a one-way conversation. Now let's open it up to a two-way conversation. B. Miller over there on Instagram. I see you checking in from Wisconsin. Let's see. If you have a question or comment, go ahead and put it in the comments section. I don't think I saw anything over there. Yes, it was. Will Avila said, brought up Democrats. Now that I'm older and paying a lot of taxes, I mean, right. You were brought up Democrat. Now you lean to the right. Free programs are not free. They come from me paying more taxes. Yeah. And as you get older, you have more money and therefore they're taking more of your taxes. That tends to happen. It tends to happen that if people change political affiliation in their lifetime, they usually will start on the left and move to the right, simply because on the political left is all about change for the sake of change. Let's tax people more. Let's take more money from the people who have it and give it to the people who have less. Because people who are younger tend to have less money because you haven't built up yourself career-wise yet. You haven't established yourself professionally. Whereas you get older, you're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. You've been in your career a long time. You made more money. You got a bunch of raises. You have savings. You put money away. You're paying for houses. You're paying for family. You're paying for kids. You have more money. So that more taxes is coming out of your money. That's your money that's getting taxed. And when you're broke, there ain't no money to take from you. So you're happy to see people get taxed. But when you have money, you don't want people getting taxed because that's your damn money. So it tends that when people change political affiliations, they move from the left to the right rather than from the right to the left, generally speaking. So let's see. If you have a comment or question, I'm reading from the oldest to the newest. Astro said, is she not a mother? Who, Kamala? I think you're talking about Kamala. I didn't say okay to the mother thing. I said okay to the pronouns thing. Mickey Dash said, after college, he opened his first business. He's a self-made man. Research, sir. What do you mean by self-made man? We got to be clear on the definition of what that means. Aaron DLG said, this guy really hates his own people. You talking about me? If so, you get the straw man of the day. This is one of the awards that we give away every day. Straw man of the day is a award we give out every day. For those of you who don't know what straw man is, it's a common logical fallacy. When someone takes your position or your words or your alleged position or words, they reframe it into their version of what you said, usually a cheaper, weaker version of your position, also known that's the straw man. And then they beat up the straw man, and then they act as if they made a point, usually using some form of incredulity or throwing a question at you where they rephrase your language, or some form of ridicule, or just a statement of sarcasm. So Aaron DLG uses ridicule. He said this guy hates his own people. So he's actually using emotion here, appeal to emotion, and a laughing emoji at the end. So this is the ridicule. And this guy hates his own people. So who are my people, Aaron DLG, that you're claiming that I hate? Who are my people that I hate? Karina says she's a stepmom. Okay, great. Voracious D said, Kamala is moving like Paul Revere, now in silence as she should be. Well, she should be in silence. Well, it's a couple of different reasons why. You may say it in a positive way. I think it's in a negative way. That if she talks, she's going to expose herself. Let's see. JV said, if you made up your mind and refused to listen, that is more relatable to you. What are you referring to? Astro. Okay. Astro, sounds like you got TDS. You leaving a bunch of comments that seem to be going against Trump, which is fine, but we didn't heard all these already, Astro. I don't know if this is your first time here in this live, but people bashing Trump is not news over here. So you got to come with something. You got to come with something we haven't heard before. If you want me to read these comments, you're not really saying anything new. B. Miller said you should have a sound effect for the straw man. Yeah, I got to get one of those. Kevin Samuels back in the day, when he used to do the live streams, he had this little board with all the sounds, and he would play different sounds that he would use over and over again. I don't have one of those boards, so maybe one day, maybe one of you can get it for me for Christmas. Give me one of those boards where I can just program sounds into it, and then I'll just play different sounds, and people do stuff crazy. Actually, let me see if there's something on the phone. There's an app for just sound effects. There got to be an app on the App Store for sound effects, right? So let's see if there's a sound effect. So there's a sound effects board app. There's something called Meme Soundboard 2016 to 2025. So let's see if this works. I'm gonna get this Meme Soundboard app right here. It's right here. It's called the Meme Soundboard. Now it's asking me to confirm so I can get this app on my phone. Any of you notice that in the App Store, sometimes when you download an app that's free, they ask you to put in your password for the App Store? I'm like, why are you asking me for my password? You just asked me for the Face ID. Now you want my password too, just to give me a damn. I'm going to download like 3 of these. So we're going to see if any one of these is any good. So I'm downloading Funny Sound Effects XL, 100s of buttons and sounds, and Meme Soundboard 2016. So we're going to see if any of these is any good. And here's the first one I just downloaded. This is called Meme Sound something. All right. All right, so now we need one for the straw man. So what's the sound we can use for straw man? Straw. I was looking up straw man. Strawberry cheesecake. All right, so this one is called strawberry cheesecake. So this is the closest thing to a straw man is strawberry cheesecake. So when somebody gets a straw man award, I'm gonna play this. Listen. Strawberry cheesecake. All right, so that's what you'll get when I do the straw man. That's the best we got for now. All right, so that'll be the sound for the straw man award. Let's continue until I find something better. So B. Miller, good suggestion. All right, so let's see. Internet name, thank you for the follow. Let's see. Where are we at? Tanya said, every Democrat has something to do with Texas. Well, yes, of course. Gavin Newsom's involved. Kamala's involved. Barack Obama had been talking about it. Yes, you're right. Hey, is that Essie says, she's always seemed genuine to me, mainly because you can absolutely tell when she's lying. Okay, fair enough. I can't even tell when she's telling the truth, though. Kamala just seems very contrived is the word that I'll be looking for. Contrived. Hillary Clinton is very contrived, too, but she's honest about being contrived. Like, Hillary knows that she's a stone cold politician, lifelong politician, and she is very corporate, very plastic as well, but she doesn't care. Kamala seems to be the same way, but she's trying. Hillary does it naturally. She don't even think about it. Hillary is just a politician person, and she knows that's what she is, and she doesn't mind. Kamala is trying to be that, but seems like she's like mentally processing that she's that while at the same time trying to do it. That's the difference. Gavin Newsom's a politician too, but he's so natural at it because he's been doing it forever. Kamala just seems to not be as smooth. She just doesn't have the smoothness to her. That's another word you could use. There's some of these lifelong politicians who are very smooth at being a politician. Barack Obama, for example, very smooth, lifelong politician, often telling you some nonsense with a smile on his face, but he is smooth at it. Bill Clinton, very smooth. George W. Bush, smooth. Kamala's not smooth. Voracious said, black men like you who degrade black women have mother issues. Let me guess, you married a white woman, LOL. Strawberry cheesecake. All right, so another straw man. Okay, I like this. I like that we got some form to this straw man award. So this is Voracious D, another straw man award. Let me play the sound again. Strawberry cheesecake. So who did I degrade? What black woman did I degrade, Voracious? All I'm doing is giving you a objective assessment of the person. It's a critical assessment, but it is an objective assessment. I'm not talking anything about Kamala because I don't like black females. I'm talking about Kamala because Kamala is not good. Did I say anything about Kamala that is not true? If I did, tell me what it is. Notice you didn't actually address my point. You addressed the person. That's also known as an ad hominem. So the ad hominem is when you attack the person rather than attacking the point. So let's see. So I got to see if there's a way that I can save this or something. I don't know if there's a way I can save it. So my favorites, let's see. I got to have a way of saving this. I don't know if there's a way I can save it so I can come back to it. So we need one for the ad hominem where you attack the point and not the person. Let's see. And this is just one of the apps. So maybe this might be the only one we need. But let me take a look at one of these other ones. So there's another one called Hundreds of Buttons and Sounds. Buttons and Sounds. I don't know. This app looks. Let's see. I just pushed it. Didn't play any music. Didn't play anything. Maybe I don't have my sound on.
In your face, sucker!
All right. So this one I got to turn this on. Actually, you might use this. You might use that for the Straw Man Award. Actually, Strawberry Cheesecake was funny.
That was easy.
All right, let's see.
Headshot.
I think we'll use headshot when somebody.
Yes.
All right, so let's see. Buttons, add, info, delete. What is this? This app is kind of. This app doesn't have a lot of stuff on it. I'm gonna be honest. Where's this stuff at? All right, I was just there. Now the stuff disappeared. Here it is. All right, so this app only has 12 sounds.
Yes. No.
All right, so maybe we'll use the applause when somebody gets a Straw Man Award. Let's continue. Asking OG says she'll never run for public office again. She can blame her own party. No, I don't know about that. She will run. What else she gonna do? Lotus Flower said, I think she should just give it up and move on. Move on to what? What else she gonna do? She's been in politics her whole life, Lotus Flower. Do you think somebody 60 years old is gonna change careers? I don't think so. I think she's staying in politics. She got 20 million followers. So she can win something. She says she's not running for governor as if she had an option, which she did have the option. She's going for bigger. She's got bigger fish to fry. And she could also go back to Congress. She was in Congress, too. A lot of people don't know that. She used to be in Congress. So we're at 93,000 likes, folks. Please keep going. Mr. Ohio J says she sent out old boy after the loss. Yes, she did. Kamala had a campaign event or a election night rally at, what was it, Howard? Was it Howard, the school she went to? She had an election night rally at Howard University where she went to college. That's the HBCU where she went to school. And a bunch of people came out, a bunch of students came out to celebrate with her or to hopefully celebrate if she won. When it was clear that she lost, Kamala did not come out and speak to her own fans. They sent a man out there to speak on her behalf to the fans and say, Kamala will not be appearing tonight. She'll speak to everybody tomorrow. That right there tells you a whole lot you need to know about who should be in leadership between men and women. Because as soon as things got rough, the woman didn't even show up to talk to her own fans. She sent the man out there to represent her as soon as things got rough. And then the next day she went and spoke to her fans. And that ain't some sellout shit. I don't know what else. What else is? Liv said, putting on a suit to go on live. Well, I'll put on a suit for the whole day. Live is not my whole day. This is part of the day. Carmine said Vance is going to bury him. Maybe. We'll see. Miss I said you have to fight fire with fire. True, but who started this? I think it started on the left. It didn't start with Donald Trump. All right, it started on the left. Lacey said, I can see it in his eyes. Okay. Mickey Dash says she's not running for anything. She's enjoying her life outside of politics. How do you know? What's she doing? Mickey Dash. People say stuff like this like you know what she's actually doing. What is she actually doing? I don't think she's doing anything. Newsom has a higher IQ than every Republican combined. Okay. Well, having a high IQ doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win an election. So it's a non sequitur here. There's some student at MIT who has a higher IQ than all the politicians, but they're not winning any elections. So what does that matter? Ron Mano, thanks for the follow. Holmes said, how can Gavin be a contender when he has burned California in more ways than one? Because there are some people who still like him. That's one way. Hey, is that said, he can play dirty because he's another white man. What's that have to do with anything? Holmes said, if he can destroy his state, what would Gavin do to the country? Do you really think he stands a chance? Well, as far as your first question, Did he really destroy California? Some people say yes, some say no. And if there's a yes and a no about destroying something, then you probably didn't destroy it. People are using that as a superlative. Now, do I think he stands a chance? Yes, he does. No, regardless of what you say he did in California, of course he stands a chance. I just explained to you over the last hour and 15 minutes why he stands a chance. He has a very good chance. Mickey said the governor of Texas isn't playing dirty. No, because it's the legislature of Texas that said they wanted to redistrict. It wasn't the governor. The governor just spoke up and let everybody know what was happening. But it's the legislature that says we're going to redistrict. DNG Capital said, I think he's going to win if the Dems pick him. Think he'll win the whole thing? He could. If you get down to the final two, anything can happen. Well, Heck said Newsom bends with the breeze. His positions change to suit him. Oh, yes. He's a political chameleon. That's what you call people who do that. That they change their position based on which way the wind is blowing. That is very true. But sometimes that works. Asking OG said, California is a disgrace. My home state of New York ain't far behind. Okay, fair enough. That's what I've heard. I've never been a resident of either state. Been to both states many times, but never been a resident. OG McCoy, good morning. Michelle, good morning. Trev Tom said, look at the Cali economy. That's not enough to vote anyone else. That's enough to vote anyone else than him. Well, that would depend on people caring about the California economy. Generally, the person who doesn't live in California doesn't care about that. It will be used against them, but is it going to be enough? I'm not sure. It's still too early. Duck said, the people voted on the redistricting. The people decided. Well, the people voted. Duck Dawson, here's what you got to understand. The people vote for the legislature, and the legislature makes decisions. That's the reason why we don't have to come to the people every single time there's a decision to be made. That's the reason why we have the big election. You make the big election for the decision maker, and then the people we vote on to be decision makers make the decisions. That's the whole point. Denio said, so if they redistrict California, that won't be enough for you either. For me, I haven't said what side. I'm not on any side of this. What I'm saying is Newsom threw out the redistricting in California as a way of fighting back against the redistricting idea in Texas. But it looks like Texas is going to do it anyway. So is he actually going to do it in California? I don't think so. Miss Eyes said, we're fighting against MAGA. Who's we? Who's this we you're referring to? Trev said, it's all anti-Trump instead of policy. Yes, that's what it is. That's the problem the Democrats have right now. Idaho Aaron says, someone needs to stand up. I'm Team Gavin 2028. Okay. No, Idaho Aaron, I respect the fact that you're willing to plant your flag on that. But we'll see if that flag is still there at 2.5 years from now. We'll see. Martha said, no, I don't think Democrats will get anything. Early. Casper said, if all you are is a fighting against, you stand for nothing. Generally, that's true. But right now, they're framing this as we're standing for democracy, we're standing for fairness, we're standing for civil rights, we're standing for minorities, we're standing for women. So what they're doing is basically taking anything Trump says and planting the opposite position and saying we stand for that. Someone said it on social media the other day that if Trump says he is all for breathing, then the Democrats would suffer themselves to death. They might suffocate themselves to death just to make sure they're not doing what Donald Trump says, which is funny. At the same time, it rings true. The Democrats just take anything Trump says and they go against it as a way of proving a point. I don't think that's a good idea, but that's what they're doing. Asking OG said we need a viable third party, period. I agree. American politics we should have more than 3. We should have 5. 5 parties that all have a chance, and they should do ranked choice voting. For those who know what ranked choice voting is, that means you rank each candidate. So let's say there are 5 candidates. You say, person you want the most, they get 5 points. The second most gets 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Then with every ballot turned in, every candidate gets a certain number of points, and you win based on points, not just based on a binary 1 vote or no votes. That way, you get a better picture of who actually won, because you might not get a lot of first place votes, but you might still win. So let's just say one candidate gets the most first place votes, but they don't win because this other candidate, they didn't get a lot of first place, but they got a whole lot of second and third place, and they didn't get any last place votes. They will still cumulatively end up winning the election. So that's how they should do elections. But right now, we only get these 2. Carmine Rizzo said, people are tired of Democrat extremists. Well, some people, about half of the voters are. The other half are not. Casper said, nothing of what you were saying is going to help the people. All right, Casper, will help us out. What's going to help the people? Jason says a weak field. Well, it's too early. We don't know the field yet. We still got 2 years before it starts to even have form. Carmine said, LMAO AOC, God help us. Okay. You laugh now. Laugh now, Carmine. Laugh now, cry later. Trev Tom said, Jasmine Crockett thinks she is already nominated. No, I don't think Jasmine Crockett has presidential ambitions. She's not that person. I said that earlier in this house. She's not. She doesn't have the makeup to be a president. Kamala Harris has it. AOC looks like she might have it. Jasmine Crockett is not that. Jasmine Crockett is a more of a local level, quote unquote, politician. That's her ceiling. She's not a president. Bronco Gus said, we are fighting against MAGA and what MAGA stands for. Okay, what does MAGA stand for? Bronco Gus. Mickey Dash said, Kamala isn't running. Oh, yes, she is. I'll bet money on that one. Carmine said, Newsom's going to be the nominee, definitely. Well, he's going to have to fight. He's going to have to go through the gauntlet, and he's going to have some competitors. Marlene said, they don't vote according to experience or checks or marks. They vote by popular. That is right. And Gavin Newsom is popular. And Kamala Harris is popular. That's why Kamala has a chance. I don't think she's good, but she has a chance because of her popularity. Trev Time said, Newsom doesn't check the identity politics boxes, though. That's true, but let's go back to 2020. 2019 into 2020. Kamala Harris checked all the identity politics boxes. She's throwing the pronouns out there. She is brown skinned and she's female. She went up against Joe Biden, who is an old, straight, white man. And Joe Biden beat her. So, and then she ended up going and working for Joe Biden. So checking those boxes is not enough, especially nowadays. Nowadays that people have we gotten past all of that, the identity politics being the main thing, that's not going to work anymore. She's going to need more than that. So what was the thing? So Karina mentioned Spencer Pratt again. What was Spencer Pratt with Gavin Newsom? I don't know nothing about this. What did Spencer Pratt do to or with Gavin Newsom? I remember Spencer Pratt from Laguna Beach, but what does he have to do with this? Why does his name come up when Gavin Newsom's name come up? Somebody explain to me what happened. Chandra said, who would be his running mate? I don't know. And the running mate matters a little bit, but not really. I mean, 2024, I think Kamala would have been helped by Shapiro, but Donald Trump, did it really matter who his running mate was? Not really. Donald Trump was such a force of nature, it didn't matter, as far as I see. Trev said the state is $270 billion in debt. What, California? I didn't know that. Well, America's $37 trillion in debt. So, I mean, what you want? What do you want to happen? Hey, is that said, give us Cory Booker. No, you're not getting Cory Booker. Cory Booker is where he's going to be. He's at his ceiling. His leadership ceiling is where he is. Michelle said, who has a chance at the Republicans, Rubio or Vance? Well, right now, Vance, because he's the VP. And it might be Vance with Rubio underneath him. But I don't know how Rubio would kind of leapfrog J.D. Vance when he's already the vice president. Asking OG said, I would quite honestly vote for anyone who would reinstate the Monroe Doctrine. Explain to us what the Monroe Doctrine is. Carla, good morning. Good to see you. Kevin Camarocco, good morning. Cam Rocco. Hey, is that Essie said, honestly, it's time for a third-party candidate. Yes. The binary choice in politics in America, most voters don't like it. The insane taxes in Cali, Carmine says, he has to explain for that. Well, somewhat. The legislature makes the taxes. That's not him. That's the legislature. That's the House and the representatives in the state of California. They're the ones who do that. Chilling with the Uber summer vibes. That AOC has all the young people and the minorities and the women. Well, if that was actually true, then there'd be no contest for her to win. I don't think she has all of them. She has a percentage. She doesn't have all of them. And here's the other thing. Even if you got a lot of fans at first, when you haven't talked a lot, the more you talk, the more you expose yourself, you may not keep all those fans. So AOC has fans right now, but if she keeps talking, that may make her better. It may make her worse. For Barack Obama, the more he talked, the better it looked for him because he's a very good speaker. AOC she is very good at being sensational, but is she good in terms of having a long form conversation and actually bringing substance to the conversation? Can she have a 2.5 hour conversation and you like her more at the end than you did at the beginning? I'm not sure she can do that. Kamala has proven she cannot do it. Donald Trump can do it. I don't know if AOC can do that. I only hear AOC in sound bites. She speaks in little clips. I want to hear her for an hour and a half, and then let's see what we think about it. Florida Independent says Newsom will be another 4 years of Republican leadership. Excellent choice for the Democrats. Okay, so Florida Independent says Newsom that can't win. Paraphrasing. Shonda said all states have to address homelessness. Yes, that's true. But if you run for president, then they're going to use your whole record against you. That's the way it works. Delorme said Tom McDonald. Y'all know who he is. He's the white guy that makes the rap videos. Yeah, I've heard of him. Miss I said you have negative energy. I have negative energy? I don't think so. That sounds like a projection. I think we got to give you something for that.
That was easy.
All right, so you get the that was easy. You easily with the projection, Miss Eyes. Josh Ribeiro said, "I'm voting for you in 2028." Okay, what can we give you for that? You're going to vote for me. We give you what can we give you? All right, thank you, Josh. You're going to vote for me. All right, I like this little soundboard that we have now. This will make it fun. Deb Cali Girl says, negative. This is the problem with this world. Well, what do you mean, Deb Cali Girl? What should we be talking about? User 1963 said, Florida is a joke, is not safe for a black man. I love California. Florida is very safe for a black man. I've been living here since 2008. How is it not safe? User, you got to come with something better than that. Now we got to give you a, what do we give you? We give you a straw man for that. And where's the one that I was just using? So for that one, you said Florida is not safe for a black man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Florida is very safe for black people. What are you talking about? Men and women. Miss I said, evidently you have a problem with black women.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Straw man. Criticizing Kamala doesn't mean I have a problem with black women. Same way that if I criticize Joe Biden, doesn't mean I have a problem with white men. If I criticize LeBron James, do I have a problem with black men? How are y'all drawing this line between criticizing a single person or two people or three people to the entirety of the whole group? There are millions of black females and white men and black men and white women. Criticizing a handful of them does not mean you have a problem with the entire group. That's a ridiculous premise. And what are we in middle school? All right, y'all got to come with better substance than this. No Limit said, Kamala is not running. Why do you keep bringing her up? How do you know she's not running? I haven't heard Kamala say she's not running for president in 2028. She has not said that. And I believe she is running. And the fact she's not running for governor is more reason to believe she's running for president. So I'm bringing her up because her name looms because of her political experience. And because she just ran for president, didn't win, only did it in 107 days. And I think that she would think, this is just my theory, she would think if I got to run an entire campaign, I have a better chance of winning. And this is her second time. Now she's about to do it again. So now she has more experience. She has all the fans. Why was she not running it? If I was Kamala, I would run again. Carmine said Kamala was humbled. I doubt she runs again. I don't think so. She just put out a book called 107 Days explaining what happened during that 107 days. She's milking it. I think she's going to run again. I'm willing to bet money Kamala runs for president in 2028. If she's alive, she's running. Sharon said, I don't trust Kamala. I understand. Doesn't mean she won't run. Kevin said, Democrats are done. Anybody who supports crime is insane. Well, yeah, they have in some ways supported crime. I get what you're saying. Miss I said, J.D. Vance is a sellout. Well, he might be. Doesn't mean he can't win. Y'all saying these things, y'all giving these ridiculing points and these ad hominems about these people as if it has anything to do with whether or not they can win the election. My answer to these things are, so what? All right, you think Vance is a sellout. You don't trust Kamala. You think she wasn't that good. You think Trump is a liar. What does any of that have to do with winning an election? The answer is nothing. They can still win. That's what y'all got to understand. Asking OG say, can we elect anyone who will actually make USA first? Well, Trump is the closest we've gotten for now. So Nancy Pelosi is Gavin Newsom's aunt. Is that true? If it is, I didn't know that was true. I did not know that. Okay, so can anybody wait, Nancy Pelosi is Gavin Newsom's aunt. Is that what I said? Kevin said, no matter what Trump does, even if he cures cancer, they still can't stand him. Very true. Asking OG said, I started on the left and moved to the middle. That happened to a lot of people, especially after 2024. Michelle Quit Scriber Strong, thank you for the share. Christian said, oh, somebody took community college English, I see. Strawberry cheesecake. That's actually an appeal to ridicule. I shouldn't give you that. I should give you a different one. Let's see. That's actually an appeal to ridicule. We just need one for any type of logical fallacy. I just need one for logical fallacies. I think for logical fallacy, we'll just give you this one. Okay, if you use a straw man specifically, you'll get this one.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Okay, so if you use just any logical fallacy, then you'll get hallelujah. For now, till we come up with some better stuff. Shushan 887 said, I think you are a wealth of knowledge and very well spoken. Thank you, Shushan. Christian said, do you have a made up disease award? TDS isn't exactly a strong argument.
Strawberry cheesecake.
All right, this is fun. I'm glad we started doing this. Being Jermaine, thanks for the follow. Kevin said, I think it doesn't matter if you agree with anything Trump does, you automatically are wrong. Pretty much. Asking OG said, we got you on the soundboard. Facts. Yeah, we on the soundboard now. Chandra, thank you for the share. Vivian said, Wizard of Oz. Yeah. Strawman, Wizard of Oz. What does Wizard of Oz mean? What does that mean? Ryan Knox, thanks for the follow. Oh, say play the Scarecrow singing. I don't know if they have that one. Let me see if they have Scarecrow. But the thing is, like, I can't do that one if I only had a brain, because then I'm doing the same thing that I'm accusing people of, because that's an ad hominem. Ad hominem is when you attack a person instead of their point. So if someone makes a bad point and then I make fun of them personally, or I say something about them personally, then I'm actually guilty of the very thing I'm pointing out. So I can't do that. I gotta make fun of their point. I can't make fun of the person. So we got to make sure we be fair here. Female vampire Hillary. Okay. Parker said, would I vote for Newsom? Well, who's he running against? Depends on who the competition is. G, thank you for the share. G Cat, thanks for the share. Asking OG said you'll be a smooth politician. Well, I would have to start lying if I was a politician. C Mosk said, is Trump smooth? Yes, Trump is smooth. Yes. He's smooth because he can get his point across. He's very blunt. He's blunt and smooth at the same time. So he's smooth at being blunt. And that's why it works. People like it. So Home 2521 said, why does the color of your skin matter at all? Well, because in America, it matters a lot. People tend to base their decisions based on a lot of things that have to do with skin color. Well, a lot of people tend to do it. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Kevin said, you didn't. You're just giving straight facts. Well, I try to. I give opinions too. Carlos says, strawberry cheesecake is hilarious. We're going to keep using this one. So strawberry cheesecake is staying around. XTR says, straw man sound is crazy. Yeah, we're going to use this. So I like the strawberry cheesecake. All right, we're going to keep with this one. I like this one. Right, we're at 110,000 likes. We're doing great, folks. Thank you. Mel, thank you for the follow. Holmes said, funny how the left screens racism, always putting races in boxes. Yes, this is also true. They don't realize they're doing it. So we got 15 more minutes here, folks. Then we'll wrap this one up. So I like the strawberry cheesecake. This is good. Jennifer Graves, good morning. Southern says she's going to run for Congress. Who? Kamala? Or maybe Senate. But I think, why not? Miss Eyes said a black Trumpster with a suit on is no different than a red cap Trumpster.
Strawberry cheesecake.
I'm not a Trumpster, number one. Number two, what does me wearing a suit have to do with anything? And number three, a red cap Trumpster, if somebody is one, so what? I mean, about half the country voted for Donald Trump. So I think you might need to seek therapy. You need some help. If you are that bothered by anyone being a Trump supporter, whether they got on a red cap or a suit, you might want to seek therapy, because about half the country, at least the voters, half the voting public chose him. Asking OG says she's got private interests. She's not the enemy. Dems did her dirty for her gender. And who you talking about? Kamala? All right, we'll see. Karina said she used Hillary's losing speech. She used the same speech as Hillary? I didn't know that. Southern said she was hitting the wine bottle. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm not trying to. All I know is she didn't come out and speak to her own fans on the night that she lost the election, which is a travesty. They came to support you. You didn't win. You come out there and you show respect to the people who showed up. It's like not showing up to your own birthday party because there wasn't enough people there. Like, how are you not going to come and talk to your own fans? At the school that you went to on a night that was the biggest night of your life, just because you didn't win, you're not going to come talk to your own fans. that just showed me it was a character display, is what that was. That what happened that night. That she wouldn't come speak to her own fans. Holmes said, "Amen. Women don't belong in leadership. Period. P.S. I'm a woman." Yeah, well, it told you a lot. I mean, well, listen, when Hillary lost, she spoke to her fans. So we only got two examples. We got Hillary, we got Kamala. Hillary lost, she spoke to her fans. Kamala lost, she didn't even show up to speak to her fans. And she didn't even damn win the Democratic nomination by going through the gauntlet like Hillary did. So I think it says a lot. It was a big character displayed by Kamala when she didn't speak to her fans. So Michelle said Hillary didn't speak to the next day. Is that true? Okay, so Michelle corrected me and says Hillary didn't speak to the next day. If that's true, then we got 2 out of 2. Then that proves home 2521. That proves your point. That, see, the thing about leadership is not just how you step up when everything is working. It's about what you do when things are not working. Can you keep showing up? All right, we got 12 minutes here, folks. Clarity Cowgirl said, "I'm in California. He has run this in the ground." Okay, so there's a lot of split opinions about Gavin in terms of California. Chilling said AOC could have Harris be her U.S. district attorney. Yeah, I mean, technically you're right. Maybe the attorney general. That's a higher position, right? XTR said Kamala didn't speak that night because nothing was written if she lost. So I'm assuming you're being sarcastic here, but she should have been able to speak off the cuff. Y'all came out. Thank you for coming out and supporting me. We didn't get the outcome that we wanted, but the fight continues. And I'm going to come and give more fuller remarks tomorrow. I wanted to come out here and show my face to y'all to let y'all know that even though we may be down, we're not out, and we'll be back tomorrow to talk about what our next steps are moving forward. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I love you. Bless you. Good night. She couldn't have said that. Did somebody have to write that down for me to say it? She could have did that, but see, Kamala doesn't have the vocabulary to even do that. She doesn't have the skill. Holmes said, "Have you been following Spencer Pratt exposing Newsom?" No. Is this the same Spencer Pratt from Laguna Beach? He's exposing Newsom? Is that what y'all were talking about? I don't know anything about what Spencer Pratt is doing, if that's the same guy. Alex said, "Sound like a Trump guy, TBH, LOL."
Strawberry cheesecake.
So I told y'all what the straw man is. Usually people use some form of ridicule. So Alex uses it, LOL. Sound like a Trump guy. So he's using it, a Trump guy, as a pejorative. So people use MAGA or Trump supporter. They use it as a pejorative. They use it as if it's a negative thing. So they accuse you of it. And then they try to either be incredulous, or they try to laugh, like ridicule, or they say it in some form of sarcasm, or a combination of all of those above, to try to undermine the person because you disagree with the point. If you disagree with my point, tell me what you disagree with. Don't attack the person because you disagree with the point. Alex said, "What should that third party look like?" Ask Elon Musk. I did a whole album when Elon talked about it, like probably about 2 months ago. Freddie said, "George Washington warned against the two-party system. He said it would tear the country apart." Well, he was right. Skywall said, "Why are you dressed like Trump?" Trump dresses like this? I guess sometimes he does wear the blue suit with the red tie. He does sometimes, but Donald Trump did not invent blue suit, red tie. So I can't call this like Trump. Abraham Lincoln said the internet will destroy us. Jeffrey said Trump could literally walk on water. Next day's headlines would be Trump can't swim. Pretty much. You're right. Chelsea said, "I think the Spencer thing is about his house after the fire. Not sure the details, though." Yes, I don't know. Monroe Doctrine destroyed U.S. neutrality in European affairs. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, I've heard of the Monroe Doctrine. Didn't know exactly what it was. Okay, fair enough. Jennifer Gray said, "I love how humble you are." Well, thank you. Humility is the seed of confidence. If you're humble enough to do the work, then that grows the tree of being confident. Confident people are very humble because you do the work. Then that affords you the right to be confident. So humility and confidence actually work together. They're not opposed. A lot of people don't understand that correlation, but I'll just explain it to you. B. Miller said, "Have you seen a lady go against 20 black conservatives? Interested to hear your opinion." Yeah, her name is Amanda Seales, and she used to be a singer. I don't know if she sings anymore, but I guess she's now a commentator on social issues, I guess similar to what I'm doing right here. And she seems to be a very, how would I describe her? She's mouthy. She's better at talking than Kamala Harris. She has some very strong opinions in certain directions. I have heard of the video. I have not watched it yet. I will listen to it and hear what she has to say. I guess I have to because everybody's talking about it, so I will listen to it. I've seen some clips. It's not anything I wasn't expecting, but I'll listen to some of the fuller arguments. All right, we got 8 more minutes here, folks. Then we'll wrap this one up and we'll be done. I'll take a few more comments, then we'll wrap it up. Where was I? Shushan said Kamala isn't black; she's Indian, as in India, and also possibly Irish, which is what Candace Owens broke down. Kevin says some people vote blue no matter who. Yes, and some people vote red as well. We got to be honest. Both sides. McBean said Kamala will never win. We can't say never. She got a lot of fans after that run she had last year. Kevin says she would have never made it to run if it wasn't for what happened. I agree, but it did happen, and now she got all those fans. So Pazuzu says she did so poorly last primary, I don't think she should run. I agree she did poorly in that primary, but after she got the nomination last year, she has this fan base, and it matters. Shushan says she plagiarized and lied in her first book. Why wouldn't she lie in the current book? Well, even if she did, then what? Then what? Southern Pride said Byron Donalds over J.D. Vance. I really want him to run. I don't think Byron Donalds has a chance. I've heard him. He handled himself very well in the Breakfast Club when they brought the attack dog to go at him. I think it was Angela Rye they brought to go at him. He handled himself very well, but is he president level yet? I don't think so. He might have a little while to go. He's relatively young. He's probably like 40-something, early 40s. Chilling with Uber said, if AOC wins, what running mate would be good for her? That, I don't know. Maybe, what's the woman from Minnesota? The squad member. What's that woman's name in Minnesota? Can't remember her name. Maybe her. That would be ridiculous and funny. I'm kind of joking, but she would have to pick a man. I don't know who the man would be. Southern Pride said they're related by marriage. Who? Spencer Pratt? Oh, no, you're talking about Nancy Pelosi. Okay, I thought you were talking about Spencer Pratt. So Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom are related? Okay. Fair enough. Nancy Pelosi is Gavin Newsom's aunt, says Carolyn Rudder. Okay, did not know that. Kevin said, why don't you run for something for Democrats and help them out? No, I'm not built for the public sector. Keenum said, I love the sounds. I can see them make you laugh, have fun with them. Yes. I'm looking for someone to give me another straw man so I can use it again, but nobody did it. Lemonade winning. Thank you for the follow. Kuya Ben, thank you for the lightning bolt. Good to see you. Shelby, good morning. Kuya, thanks for the goats. Vivian said, the song from the Wizard of Oz says that's the OG straw man. Oh, I see. So it's the Wizard of Oz sound. So let me see if they even have that. They might not have it in this app. Wizard of Oz, and that's not in here. So we're stuck with this one. Now, I'll just open this app while I'm talking to y'all. So maybe if I take some time to explore these apps, maybe I'll find something better. Born Cynic said, please don't tell me you believe Newsom is a good leader. I have no opinion on whether he's good or bad. I don't live in California. I don't follow his stuff that much. I just followed him on X this morning while I was talking to y'all. So I don't know if he's a good leader or not. I don't live in California. So y'all will have to tell me. You California residents, you tell me. Holmes said, your lives are amazing. Love your insight. Thank you. You're right, the strawberry cheesecake. Southern Pride said, all politicians lie. It doesn't matter what they're on to become part of the game. That is true. All politicians lie. I've talked about this many times. Vivian said they have TDS. Yes, they do. So Hillary didn't come out till the next day. Okay. This is new. I thought she came out that day. Okay, she came out the next day. Jennifer said, Dre 2028. Yeah, on what side? What party am I going to run for? Christy said, yes, from the hills. Yeah, so what's the issue with? So he talks about politics now? Is that what he's doing? Mr. Spencer Pratt? Is that what he does? I didn't know that. Okay, I had never heard of him ever since that show went off the air. So Kevin said, you don't think she's going to run for president? Well, she was already in Congress, so what's the next level for her? Kevin said, are you Democrat or Republican? I'm neither one. I don't trust any of these mofos. I don't trust the government. I don't depend on the government, and I don't trust any politician. But we will talk about them because they do have an effect. Not trusting them doesn't mean that they don't matter. Willie said, I love the sound effect. You speak facts and some can't handle that. Much respect for what you do. Thank you, Willie. Southern said, can't believe people missed that he's wearing a blue suit, red tie for a specific reason, dear Lord.
Strawberry cheesecake.
What's the reason why I'm wearing a blue suit and a red tie? Please tell me the reason. Because if you know something that I don't know, I would love to know. The FBA party. Yeah, who's going to lead it? Tariq Nasheed? Good luck with that. Okay, so Kevin said, from what I see, you are.
Strawberry cheesecake.
From what you see does not make something true. And again, you may be using, I hope you're not using that as a, I hope you're not using that as a pejorative. Jennifer said, independent doesn't matter. I vote for you. See, the thing is, if I ran independent, Jennifer, I wouldn't win. Then I'd be doing a whole lot of stuff. I'd be like that. What's that woman that keeps running? Is her name Jill Stein? And she always running every election, but she doesn't come close to winning. And her thing is, I just want to get my ideas on the table so that maybe one of the candidates that does win can take my ideas and take them with them. And it doesn't sit well with me. I couldn't see myself dedicating my life to that. Oh, he's showing that Newsom stole money? Okay, fair enough. Corina says, definitely not about politics or just losing his home. What are you talking about? Kevin said, why did Candace Owens change her view so much so fast? On what? What's she change her view on? It seems like if she changed her view, it's for a specific reason. She's pretty much explained them, any view that she has changed. So she was hardcore. She is a conservative. She's clear on that. But she was hardcore Trump supporter. But then she didn't like what Trump was doing. So she said, I'm not supporting Trump, but I'm still conservative. A lot of people on the right have said that they still support the conservative party or the right Republicans, but they don't like some of the things that Trump did, specifically when it comes to the Israel situation. A lot of people on the right have said that. She's not the only one. So Spencer lost his house in the Palisades fires and is fighting Newsom. Oh, all right. So I've heard many people talk about that they had home issues after either the fires or because of beach erosion. And then the state of California is charging them money as far as recovering your house or the fixing of the areas. And then people are losing their homes because of that. And they're mad at the governor because the government in California seems to not be doing anything to help the people who have lost their homes. So Spencer Pratt is one of the people who have fallen victim to that. I heard Grant Cardone talking about that because he has a house. He was showing a picture of it. It's a house like right on the water. And they told him he got to pay all this money to raise the house up to avoid beach erosion and all that. And he's like, why do I got to pay this money? He has a whole argument for it. I didn't get into the details of it. But there's a bunch of people in California who I've heard saying similar things. So I didn't know what the Spencer Pratt thing was, but thank you for filling me in. XTR. I didn't know what it was. So let me tell y'all about how y'all can get one of my books for free. You can get this book, Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs, for free. Just go to thirddaybook.com. This book is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. Go to thirddaybook.com. The book is free. Just cover the shipping. Or this book has been popular over the last couple of weeks, The Mirror of Motivation. Get this one for free by going to mirrorofmotivation.com, the self-guide to self-discipline. Thank you, Courtney. And my book on sales, the sales discipline system. Learn the 8 key. Use the 8 key disciplines of top salespeople to say goodbye to up and down months and inconsistent habits. You can get this book free. Also go to salesdisciplinebook.com. Book's free, cover the shipping. Salesdisciplinebook.com, mirrorofmotivation.com, or thirddaybook.com, or just go to the link in my profile on TikTok. So if you go on TikTok, I'll show you all. I'm pulling up my own TikTok account. So if you go to TikTok and on my profile, you see this link right here that says workonyourgame.live. Click on that link and it will take you right to a page that has links to all of these books. Again, we give these books away for free. We just ask that you cover the shipping. We'll send you a physical copy of the book. Just go to the link in my profile and y'all will see that. I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, come back tomorrow and I'll be doing another one. Topic to be determined. We don't know exactly what the topic is. And that's that. If you want to engage with me further on social media, the place that I spend most of, if any time, is on X. If I'm active on social media, it'll be on X. I am active on the other apps as far as publishing and posting, but I don't engage in commentary. I will engage in commentary on X. Usually I'm responding to other people's stuff more than I even post my own stuff on X. My X name is Dre All Day. My Instagram and YouTube linked are in my TikTok profile right here. Get your free copy of these books, salesdisciplinebook.com, mirrorofmotivation.com, thirddaybook.com to get these books. And I will see everybody here tomorrow. Thank you for your time and attention. A replay is on YouTube. Round of applause for everybody in here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Work on your game. We out of here. Thank you, moderators. Thank you for getting the likes up. 125K likes. Thanks, everybody. See y'all later.